Okay, so I'm just going to start. So we are here this morning, Saturday morning, with Cable Atwell, president of the Vancouver Island Raiders, and Andrew Harris, 10,000-yard rusher, future Hall of Famer, four-time Grey Cup champion, and the new director of football operations for the VI Raiders. Thanks for doing this morning, guys.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
So Andrew, where are you this morning?
In Winnipeg, the Chili City.
Back at home, eh?
Yeah, back at home. Yeah.
Blake's a Winnipeg guy too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know that. I see that bomber helmet in the back there.
Well, those are my
Oh, really?
those are my three teams there. It took me about 10 years. I moved here in 91 to Kelowna, and it took me about 10 years to kind of tilt. Now I almost could care less between the Lions and the Bombers who wins when they play. But I'll tell you, I was going to say this at the end, but you jumped to it. I'm like one of these people out west. It's far be it for me to root for anything from Toronto.
Yeah.
But the last little while, last year, and then especially right now, you've made it hard not to have a soft spot for the Argonauts. So
I appreciate it. Appreciate the support.
So I guess, Andrew, first thing, just talk about yesterday. I was listening to the news and I heard you signed a one-year contract to stay with the Argos, play again. That was kind of surprising because it was speculation. You had hinted you might retire, going out on top. And then hours later, the Raiders news comes out. Just, I guess, can you tell us why the decision to play again and how close was retirement on the radar?
Yeah, so I've been talking with Cable about this opportunity for about 2 months now, a month and a half or so, and then I actually went out to Nanaimo 2 weeks ago. Spent some time over there, spent some time with Cable, spent some time with the GM and some of the staff, and I just wanted to get a feel for what it would be like. And at this point, I was probably 70% thinking I was going to retire, 30% kind of going into to do another opportunity. I had some opportunities here in Winnipeg, and I had some opportunities in Toronto still, like other than playing. And then as free agency kind of went on, I saw some guys signing and talking with my old teammates, and that fire to kind of play again started to get a little bigger. And I said, you know what, maybe I could do one more year. And then I was kind of torn because I'm thinking like this decision to actually say I'm done playing was going to be a tough one to actually come out of my mouth. And but then I was also really going through these steps of trying to figure out what's going on with the Raiders and being involved with them too. So ultimately, I mean, I think we're in mid-February now almost, and where we're at as far as my life, and I just had a son 3 months ago. My daughter's with me full time, and she's 15, and I was just thinking the decision to actually move out to Nanaimo right now would have been a tough one, and kind of rushed. And again, that fire to still want to play was still kind of burning there. So I'd kind of thought about the opportunity to potentially try to take over a little bit with the football ops side of things, and then it was crazy because Cable literally called me a couple hours later and said, "Hey, how about this?" And he mentioned this exact kind of role to present it this way as football operations, and then kind of coming out next year, getting all our ducks in a row, mine personally, and fulfilling that last little bit of that little fire and that flame, and blowing it out for one last year. So yes, I mean, it all kind of happened really organically, and I mean, Cable and the rest of the Raiders staff has been very understanding about how difficult this decision would be for me to walk away from a game that I've loved so much, and had such a great career in, and again, they there was a bit of a deadline, but the pressure wasn't too high on myself to, hey, you got to do this or that. There's always different outlets to try to get us to where we're at now. So I'm very, very excited to work with the current staff and help bring in some new blood and new recruits, and kind of do this remotely for the next time being, or for the next year, And then I'm really excited to know, 2024 to be moving my family out to Nanaimo and, kind of coming full circle to being back in the organization and leading the team and leading some young men.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. It's what, 18 years now, I think, probably since you joined the
Yeah.
Raiders. So-
Yeah.
And I was joking before we started. I was one of them when I was involved with the Sun back in the day. I wanted you to leave after the first year. And we're also excited that you're back because of not only the benefit that this brings to the Raiders, but I think the spotlight that this shines on the conference.
Yeah.
Cable, like this curveball of Andrew sticking around to play another year, I'm thinking about this might not be a bad thing because it puts a spotlight on him professionally doing this job remotely with the right people around him. Might actually be, one of those old sayings, you turn lemon into lemonade. It might work out better easing into this role.
Well, in hindsight, we would have loved to have him here this year, but we have the understanding of his position as well. And so we had to pivot a little bit to adjust for Andrew's requirements and his desires, and we did. And I think this is going to work out well. It gives us an opportunity to get even more of our ducks in order. So when he gets here, he'll hit the ground running. He'll be involved in it from a day-to-day basis, as he mentioned, from a team organizational perspective. He can lay out his vision for what he wants and how he wants to move the team forward. He can help us with recruiting and from a marketing perspective, to have somebody his caliber and his exposure, it helps us from that perspective as well. So we did have to, as I said, pivot a bit, but I think you're right, Blake, in the long term, it might be a better move to do it this way than having Andrew rush in and stuff like that as well.
The recruiting cachet that Andrew brings to the table, obviously, excuse me, is one thing, but a lot of people I don't know, very well, how hard it is to get volunteers and to put a junior football team on the field, especially in BC. Just tell a story that, again, I think where Andrew's roots are in Winnipeg, they probably have somewhere about 25, 26 high schools within an hour or two. British Columbia had 42 high schools amongst 7 teams in the province. I think it shocks some people. So not only is recruiting an issue of recruiting players in, and Andrew is going to obviously be the drawing card there, but volunteers that the Raiders need so desperately. What about that cachet of having Andrew Harris involved as a VI Raider again? What do you think that'll do in the community to bring sponsorship dollars and people to the organization? Because, hey, Andrew can't do this. This can't do this alone. Let's be honest here. That you're a 1-9 football team. You've got a little bit of rebuilding to do. He's going to need people around him. Andrew Harris, how is his name going to help strengthen the organization?
Well, I think it'll help immensely. I mean, Andrew's an icon in Nanaimo, and just even from the Facebook and Instagram posting yesterday, so many people have expressed and liked the fact that he's coming back, and I've already heard from a number of people who are wanting to jump on board now, from not only a volunteer and helping out perspective, but also from a sponsorship perspective. We had started to reorganize the team in any regard prior to sort of the conversations with Andrew taking place and getting to the point where we're at. We've got more people interested coming onto the board and looking after specific job descriptions. We've also now got a firm that we call Raider Nation that will be looking after sponsorship and marketing end of things, and they're already up and running, and they're just very encouraged by what happened yesterday as well. So, but Andrew just puts us over the top on all of that, and this is name recognition. For example, yesterday when Greg Sakaki from the media in Nanaimo called me, I thought he sounded more excited about Andrew coming back than I did. So, I mean, that just resonates throughout the community with everybody, and comments received, in regards to the story where people are saying that Andrew's back, we're coming back, you know, my kid grew up watching you play, so we'll be at games and stuff like that. So it's now up to us to effectively utilize that momentum that we've got and to utilize the fact that Andrew's basically the director of football operations or the head of football operations and just sort of work that process through. And in fact, this morning I was just talking to our marketing people and they're already starting to organize sort of a campaign based around that as well. So it helps on the business side of things immensely and the volunteer side of things immensely.
Andrew, your junior career, I don't know if at what point, and I know professional football players always get asked this, and you've probably been asked this professionally, when you hit your 10,000 yard mark, you know, do you look back and go, wow, look what I accomplished? And I think I know you're going to say, I'll do that when I retire. But as a junior football player, do you think about the dominance and the impact that you had, not only when you played, but what you did since? Are you aware of Andrew Harris, what you did?
Yeah, I mean, in the moment, you know, you're definitely not thinking about that. You're just going through, you know, the highs, the lows, you know, the great feelings, the bad, the rough feelings, and you know, you're just kind of enjoying the moment. And honestly, like, I feel it more when I'm around like kids at that age, you know, like the 17 to 22-year-old, you know, like the freshman, you know, sophomore university kids that, you know, I come across. Or, you know, I did a flag football league here in Winnipeg just around the COVID time, and you know, you can kind of feel your impact when you're around youth, and ultimately that's what's driving me and really inspiring me to want to make this move, because you know, I can sense and I can get a feeling of my impact, you know, that and again, a lot of these kids never even saw me play, but they just know and heard the stories because they're so young now. But when you can kind of go through these different generations and the age gaps and still have that impact on young people and inspire them to want to get to the next level, and you know, not only just how they do things on the field, but off the field and carrying themselves in the community. These are all really important things, and honestly, what helped shape me as a man was my experience and my time in Nanaimo. And I really went from a kid into a young man, and ultimately that maturity and those experiences, you know, pushed my play, pushed my work ethic, and got me to be a professional athlete. So for myself, you know, that's my impact I want to give back to whoever I'm around, whether it's, you know, the players on the Raiders or players from other teams, you know, and just push that and pay that forward, because again, it was so impactful for my life and all the great things that I was able to accomplish in junior, you know, with the Lions, with Bombers, and now with the Argos. It all started from, you know, a massive chunk of that was when my time in Nanaimo and those experiences there. So again, it's you know, I sometimes think, you know, like if I would have stayed in Winnipeg and played for the Rifles, or you know, went to school after my second, or you know, my first or second year, and I can't really tell you where I'd be. Me sticking around in Nanaimo and that community, and you know, our team at that time was really a family, and you know, we had so many different players from all over the country, and you know, we had Hattie Abassi, who is you know, kind of like the godfather, and you know, keeping everyone together, and you know, Coach Team did such a great job of you know, giving that family aspect and everyone a part of it. And for myself, I want to instill a lot of those values, and you know, really just have you know, a 90 person family of you know, staff, coaches, and players, and all the people involved with the Raiders, and you know, just have that same kind of feeling, because again, it was so instrumental into my growth and development, and helping become a man.
Thinking back now, because this, again, it's been a while, 5 years, 3 Canadian Bowls. Did you win the BC Championship every year? Did anybody ever knock you off? I can't remember. I
think we lost in 2005 to Okanagan. And then after that, we kind of went on a run. Yeah. The 2005 we lost in the BCs, and then the next 4 years we won the BCs.
I just remember. Oh, so it was your first year. Okay, so it was
2005.
first year when you were just. I remember you as a little rookie. We'd heard about you, and the GM and myself were at that ugly Caledonia Park, and
Hey, watch your mouth.
and we're watching you.
Funny story about Caledonia. We were over there actually walking around because that's our that ugly park is our training facility now, and we're thinking about talking about different improvements and stuff, and you just walking in there. I mean, I don't know. I think that park's beautiful, and I love the just walking across the field. And my shoes got soaked because that field is just such a little cesspool of water all the time. I remember teams coming in and just slipping and sliding everywhere. But anyways, biggest part of that the trip was we're playing in 2006 against the Edmonton Wildcats, and there was a train line that goes right along the little ridge behind where the benches are. And we always played games at 1 o'clock on Saturdays, and there was always seemed to be a train that went by, like fourth quarter at some point. So we were out there on that same time, it'd been on fourth quarter time, and sure enough, we're walking across the field, and a train goes by, and like, what the heck? This is crazy. And anyway, so I'm getting him like come on to it, and he goes nuts and blows the horn, and I don't know. I was like, wow, this is meant to be, because I mean, so many times that train would go by, and especially 2006, I think we were down like 10 points or something like that. The train went by, and we ended up going on a run and scoring a bunch of points and winning the national championship in 2006. Cable was joking and saying that he had to pay a lot of money to get that conductor to go by, but it was a pretty cool moment, just to see that and hear that train go by, and I was kind of like, all right, this is meant to be, I think.
I've heard that story a few times, actually. So your dominance. So the 3 Canadian Bowls in 5 years, the 4 straight BC championships. And again, like you said, so many of the young players, the kids today, they know your CFL career. They don't know what you did in the CJFL and the BCFC. It was your last year, right? That you rushed, you lit up the hilltops, I think, for 300 something yards. And then the next 2 weeks later in the Canadian Bowl against Hamilton, over 400 yards in the Canadian Bowl. Was that your last year?
That was 2000. That was my second last year.
Last year. Think about that, guys. 380 yards in a national semifinal, and then 400 plus in the Canadian Bowl 2 weeks later. It's surreal.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was a very emotional season too. We had a player that was very, very close to me. My fullback, he had passed away in September that year. And at that point, actually, I'd been playing receiver for the first 4 weeks. Because I'd been going back and forth with the Lions, and they had told me, you're not a running back, so you got to play receiver or safety. So I remember running a corner route at the Apple Bowl in Kelowna, and you guys have that cement track inner little guideline. And I ran a corner and smashed my knee on the little cement piece of track there, and I ended up missing three games because of that. And then our running back at the time, he got hurt, and then we came back from my injury, and Aaron had just passed away, and I got back on the field as a running back, and honestly, I was possessed. I was inspired. I was uplifted and kind of angry because we had lost an amazing human, not only from our team, but from this world. And, that playoffs alone, I think I had like 1,400 yards within, the BC semis, and then the finals, and then, the last two integral game in the national championship. But yeah, that was a special year for me. And, I changed my number from 20 to 33 that year. And, I've been wearing the 3s ever since. And, he was a big part of my inspiration. And again, that just goes to show you the type of people and the bonds you make and create in junior football. I mean, Aaron was a guy that was, kind of like tossed to the side, and wasn't really given too many chances. And he had grown and built himself up, and moved out to Nanaimo, and we both had a kid around the same time too, and he was on the right track, and then his life was taken from a car accident, and those bonds and the special relationships you gain. Some of my best friends to the day are guys I played junior football with, and that's dating back 22 to 18 years ago, and it's junior's a special thing, and like I said, I'm just so excited to be back and engraved in it, and looking forward to the opportunity.
Telling the story about Aaron, it reminds you, right, that as important as the championships were, that those friendships that you made really were what it's all about, more than the wins and losses on the field.
Absolutely.
Just before we go, I want to talk about, because you kind of alluded to it there, when the Lions had asked that you get converted to receiver, because you were not going to be a running back in the CJFL. You're going to be a special teams guy, or receiver, or secondary. You're not a running back.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard stories over the years about you when you were with the Lions. Screw this, I'm a running back, and sitting in on offensive line meetings to learn the schemes and everything, and almost, I'm sure maybe this getting exaggerated a little bit, but almost getting teased, like, what are you doing here, Harris? You're not a running back, is the stories I've heard. Let's, as I said, there's been lots of players that have come through this league that maybe haven't had your level of dominance, but there's probably 10, 15 guys that we can go, wow, why didn't he make the CFL, or why didn't he have the career that Andrew did? And I think that a lot of the reason is a testament to your hard work and your dedication, and maybe stubbornness to work at the next level. So if you could talk about when you made the transition to the Lions, and if you've got any advice for a young guy in your spot that is trying to make that push.
Yeah, I mean, that transition from playing junior to the CFL was definitely a tough one. I mean, you look at CIS, NCAA players that come to the CFL, and there's a big difference of caliber that they're used to playing with every day. And from a scheme, from a mental, from a physical aspect, that's a big jump. The biggest thing for me is, I felt like I could hang physically. I mean, I think I was like 195 pounds or something back then, and a little light, but I still was very quick, and physically I thought I could hang, but the mental side of things was the biggest hurdle for me. The playbook, just how fast everything went, and how quick you had to make decisions, and the game was just like a blur, and everything was going so fast. And then they said, okay, you're not a running back, you're playing receiver. So now I'm having to learn a new position, and I think I was playing the wide position, and back then they had Jason Claremont at that position, so he was like I don't know, like 6'3", like 230, like almost like a H-back tight end, big inside receiver. And, I remember we had a bunch formation and running a pitch, and I had to crack down on Cam Wake. We went two of the guys in front of me went down. So I was in the ones versus ones, and it was a live situation, and I have to crack block Cam Wake. And everyone knows Cam Wake, and he was an absolute monster and had an insane NFL career. And so I mean, for me, I was like, wow, like deer in the headlights right off the bat, but ended up blocking him pretty good. And that was when I really felt like, not only the coaches could see that I could get put in a situation and do all right with it, but I kind of gained the respect of the guys on the Lions. And after that, I really just started making more plays and getting more confident. And it's just weird when you look back at certain things. There's always a moment or two where you get a little bit of a shift, and your confidence grows, or you see a little light, a little crack of opportunity. And honestly, any chance I had within those practices and training camp opportunities, I really kind of ran with it. And just doing little things like you said. I mean, I was a receiver, but I always knew the O-line met after practice or had extra meetings. So I would jump in there and just kind of hang on the back and understand how they're blocking things, understand, what their angles and aiming points and different things were on in the run game. And then, I'd play receiver, for the ones, and then I go against the defense. I'd be playing safety, just as a scout team, and then I play running back on the scout team. So anytime I was on the scout teams, I always took that as like, hey, I'm not just going through the motions here. I'm out here to try to impress and make a statement here. And sometimes players don't like it as much because usually the scout team's supposed to like ease off a little bit, but I didn't care. And just tried to seize every opportunity I could. And I remember, I think it was not in my second training camp, but all the running backs got hurt right before the super scrimmage game. And I think Buck Pierce was the quarterback at the time. Angus Hughes was center, and I got into the super scrimmage game in Abbotsford, and we're sitting there, and I'm with the starting offense, and I'm looking at these guys, and Angus looked at me, and you could just see that I was a little nervous. He said, this, don't make it too big. You got this. Be a pro. And then I think 4 plays later, I ripped off like a 70-yard run, and I run back, and I'm huffing and puffing, and I'm like, oh my God, that was crazy. And then he looks at me and grabs me. He's like, do it again. Be a pro. And I was like, oh shit, got to snap into it again, and let's go. So I finished off my rest of my series, and again, once I had those little moments, I was like, yeah, I can stick around here, and just kept building confidence. And when you elude confidence, and when you assert yourself, and you're like everyone else, and I almost had to fake it till I made it. It just transitioned really smoothly into being one of the guys, and then I had players vouching for me, and players saying he should be in the mix, give an opportunity, and then finally it kind of came about, and yeah, it was, I mean, from all the different things within training camp, but then the practice roster year when I was traveling back and forth, and getting up and practicing with the Lions, and playing over, and then ferrying back, having practiced the Lions and practiced the Raiders, and then coming back and getting up at 7 a.m. and then getting home at 1 a.m. and 2 days for 3 or 4 days a week was definitely a grind. But and I could see it too. I remember watching the 2009 season, and near the end of the season, I was a shell of myself just because I was so exhausted. I mean, you go through training camp for 2 teams, you're doing 2 days all year, and it was very hard to sustain. But I practiced with pros, and then I'd come back and play junior, and everything was really slowed down for me in the junior aspect, and really just helped me become a way better, more complete player, with all the experience from receiver, safety, and ultimately playing running back as well too. So yeah, very long-winded answer there, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different tangibles to it, and honestly, and again, this is one of the things that I want to bring and add to junior is more guys making that jump, because not everyone's cut out to go to school. Not everyone's cut out to go to university. And at VIU, we have a great trade program. There's a lot of guys may want to get into trades. Maybe guys want to do other things, and that doesn't include going to university. So I really want to help. I wasn't that student that I probably wouldn't have lasted in university at that time when I was at that age. So for me, junior was an amazing outlet. I got an amazing opportunity to work for a good company, which I still work for to this day, doing sales. And there's so many great relationships and memories and moments that I got from junior. And again, I just want to be able to give kids that same experience, and our young men that same experience, and hopefully try to find the next professional guy that can go into a CFL training camp and make it and be successful.
Find the next Andrew Harris to pull 11,000 yards.
There you go. Absolutely.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this. Andrew, this is all about giving back. This is coming back to junior football, and everybody's going to love having you around. You talk about a long-winded answer there. You're going to be the guy everybody wants to hear. So long-winded is never going to be an issue with hearing you talk. But let's talk. The football aspect is giving back. That's not paying your bills. Mm-hmm. You're going to be working with Orca Wealth Insurance and Financial.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your transition into your business life, and let's give a plug here. Anybody that needs your services. Absolutely,
yeah. So I've it was kind of funny. I mean, talking to Cable, I said, I'm going to need a job. I got a family, and I'm I can't just come out there on hopes and dreams, you know, I got to have something kind of tangible to, you know, work wise. So I said, you know, kick some tires and see what kind of opportunities are out there. You know, I had some people that I kind of still had known, and but I had some conversations, and ultimately he had introduced me to Dave Shorthill, he's been in the financial services game for, you know, 30, 40 years. He's actually originally from Winnipeg. And it's a very small world. He's really good friends with my partner's cousin. So we're at Christmas talking about a guy from the island. And anyways, couple of months later, I'm meeting with him about an opportunity. So yeah, so he does insurance and financial services, and I'm going to be mentored and trained by him over the next year, and then I'll be out there in Nanaimo and you know, hitting the ground running. You know, come next year. Or next January this time. So really excited about that. I've always been one of those people who loves to help people, and you know, this career kind of gives me the flexibility time wise. You know, in this day and age, a lot of stuff's done over Zoom, and you know, the internet's a massive tool. So I'll be able to have my time to, you know, get my coaching in, and you know, make sure I'm servicing the Raiders as well. But I'll also be able to be flexible enough to you know, have this career, and Dave's been so great with me, and spending his time with me, and mentoring me, and you know, just an overall great guy. So yeah, so look for me, Orca Wealth Financial and Insurance Services, and you know, I'm looking forward to that opportunity, and you know, it's all in the same as much as coaching the Raiders.
I've also got, excuse me, I've also got to say, if it hadn't been for Dave stepping up, because that was a very important component of the whole situation, that Andrew wouldn't be where we are right now. That has been Dave stepping up, and we as a team are very thankful for him to be able to provide Andrew that opportunity.
And so licensing in your line of work too, that's provincial wide. You're not just a Nanaimo thing. You can work with anybody in the province, correct?
Yeah, so I'm getting licensed for BC, but I'm also going to get licensed for Manitoba and Ontario as well, just so I can, you know, have a lot of contacts throughout Canada. So yeah, you can basically get licensed to Canada wide and service all across Canada if you want to. But yeah, for sure, definitely province wide throughout BC.
Okay, perfect. So, hey, Andrew, thanks for doing this. And again, we are so excited. The football community in BC is buzzing, not just at the junior level, but high school as well. We're getting lots of reach out. So thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you again.
Okay, thank you, Blake.